Morning, everyone. I would like to call to order the Pasco County Board of County Commissioner meeting for August 21st, 2018. And I would like to remind you, please silence your cell phones. At this time, I would ask you to all please rise for the invocation and pledge. Madam Clerk.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Here.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Here.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
District 4, Chairman Wells.
Here. Thank you very much. Now we will proceed with the public hearing agenda, starting with item P1. Madam Clerk, do we have proof of item P1?
Yes, sir. It was published in the Tampa Bay Times, August 1st, 2018.
No. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, before you is a final rate resolution for the consideration for the non-ad valorem assessment for the Highlands MSBU. The Highlands MSBU was established for maintenance of roadways in the district, and the assessment is continuous. Units 1 through 4 have no change in the assessment from the prior year, while Units 8, 8A, and 9 have each decreased by $20 per ERU. These changes were based on analysis of prior year actuals.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Board members? Okay, this is a public hearing. I do not have anyone signed up for this item P1. If you'd like to speak on P1, please come forward. Seeing no one is to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I think the board has done a great job with this one. It was a difficult situation for a few years, but they've done a great job, so I'll move for approval.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. P2, Madam Clerk, do we have proof?
Yes, Tampa Bay Times, August 1st, 2018.
Okay, before you is a final rate resolution for consideration for the non-ad valorem assessment for the Timber Oaks Subdivision, MSBU. The Timber Oaks Subdivision MSBU was established to address necessary drainage and flooding problems associated with the subdivision. The rate of $60.99 per ERU remains the same as last year. We previously presented a preliminary rate resolution of $112 per ERU that was based on information that indicated the construction of the project would be substantially completed before November, when tax bills will be mailed. Based on the latest update, substantial completion will not be achieved by this time. Therefore, we recommend the assessment remain at the Phase 1 rate.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I think Nancy Jenkins and the team at Timber Oaks has done a great job on this one as well. I know we're going to try to work with SwiftMud, the state, to try to get them fully reimbursed for the $1 million worth of money that we put out there, as well as to take another look at the extra price that was paid for. And I say extra price in the sense of for the property at Timber Oaks. We couldn't control what the price of the golf course was, but we paid $600 grand more than what SwiftMud wanted, so we are going to try to later on work at that, but we've got to go through this process first.
Okay, this is a public hearing. I do have, looks like Ms. Kobernick signed up to speak. If you could please come forward, and if anybody else would like to speak on this item, just please line up behind her. Good morning.
Good morning. Diane Kobernick, 5001 South Shore, representing, doesn't matter. Commissioners, you made the decision to purchase Timber Oaks in July of 2014. You neglected to do a comprehensive due diligence on this property. You did not do any environmental testing prior to the purchase. When you finally did do the testing, it was contaminated to the point of needing remediation. There was 750 soil samples with arsenic alone. The county also did not do a geotechnical engineering test until February 2015. Had you done your due diligence, you would have found out that the testing was done in April 2014. And also found there were 75 anomalous areas observed that could activate sinkholes. These major defects should have significantly reduced the purchase price. but this was not done till after the purchase. The only conclusion is that it didn't bother the county, since you were strapping the cost onto the property owners to pay this for 20 years. The county contracted engineering and inspection services for $390,000 plus another $72,000, bringing it to $462,000. November 2016, the county also contacted Ecological Consulting Solutions for removal of the gopher tortoises for $56,000. I've been asking the county who's paying for Timber Oaks remediation since July 2017. I was told to direct my inquiries to Attorney Nikki Spiritos, and I still don't have that answer. I spoke here at the BOCC meeting in June of 19 and asked again. I still do not have the answer today of a simple question. So now I'm asking, who's paying for Timber Oaks contamination remediation? Who's paying for the gopher tortoises being removed for $56,000? Who's paying the engineering and inspection for almost $500,000? These are very fair questions to ask my county government that is spending our tax dollars. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Can we get her those answers if she hasn't already gotten them? Jeff and...
Sure.
Yep. Okay. Would anyone else like to speak on this item? Seeing no one is to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I will tell you the negotiations on this property is very difficult. The people did not want to sell. They wanted to get their money. They asked for a lot more. As any golf course, you know there's going to be arsenic out there between the tees and the greens. It's just the way it is. But the flooding situation that was going on was not only affecting Timber Oaks, it was affecting around them on both sides of the street of Little Road. It was something I think we did for the ratepayers of Timber Oaks who are paying for this MSTU. It's not funded by any other group. I think it was as prudent as we could possibly make this one happen, but I think we made the right move. Instead of kicking the can down the road, we made the aggressive move to go get the property, put the deal together. And I will tell you, this project has worked out very well for the people there. I haven't got a single call on flooding out there, and I move approval.
And under discussion, it's interesting, we don't have anyone from Timber Oaks here complaining. I think they're happy that their life is improving out there.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
so.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. P3, Madam Clerk, do we have proof?
Yes, Tampa Bay Times, August 1st, 2018.
Before you is a final rate resolution for consideration for the non-ad valorem assessment for the Magnolia Valley MSBU. The Magnolia Valley MSBU was established to repay 50% of the acquisition costs of the property commonly known as Magnolia Valley Golf Course. This is year 2 of collection, and the term is 15 years. The rate remains the same as last year.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the board? I do have 2 folks signed up, Miss Osteen and is it Miss Condi? If it's not, I apologize. And if anybody else would like to speak on this item, please come forward. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Judy Osteen, 7650 Osteen Road, Newport Richey, Florida. I'm here today to talk about something I got on the internet. I called Mr. Wells regarding a statement on the workshop on 6/26/18. He did not return my call, but he had Mr. Carey inquire about my concerns. And Mr. Carey was very much so willing to speak to me about it. I don't have an answer yet to the statement. The statement regarding anticipation of recreational amenities in the Magnolia Valley Stormwater Project. Anticipation of recreational amenities in the Magnolia Valley Stormwater Project, is that part of the MSBU? Because the stormwater fees and the Magnolia Valley MSBU are not for recreational purposes. It's for flooding only. Also, the statement regarded anticipated utility improvements. Pasco County now owns Magnolia Valley Golf Course. So stormwater fees should cover the utility improvements if they weren't made with the MSBU. The MSBU for Magnolia Valley was only to purchase a golf course. As a reminder to Pasco County again, you own Magnolia Valley Golf Course. And if you plan on doing something there, it should be general public accessible. That means you're going to have to put out taxpayers' money to do that. And people who are paying on this that don't live in Magnolia Valley, like I said, general public should be allowed to access it. They're paying on it $28 for 15 years, so it should be open to general public. I've also heard that the clubhouse is in disrepair and is going to be torn down, which you guys had planned, that I had heard when we were doing the MSBU. It was going to be used for office space to save the county money. That was poor planning for you guys, okay? Poor planning. And if there's a sale of that property, I say again, as I said before during the MSBU, if you sell that land, the money needs to go back into the MSBU. This area of Pasco County, this has nothing to do with Magnolia Valley, is really not a tourist area. We have no golf beaches, we have no museums, we don't have busch gardens. We're not Tampa and we're not St. Pete. We don't have the ports that bring in money and jobs. We do not have ball fields and players and stuff coming here during the summer, and we don't have any attractions. So stop and think. Not even the new rail that they're thinking about putting in comes close to Pasco County. You guys need to be more inventive for this area. Tourism is not the answer. There's nothing here unless you're going to fix Pasco County.
Thank you, Ms. Osteen. Good morning.
Good morning. I am Bridget Condi. I live at 7022 Peggy Mac Lane, Newport Richey, Florida. Last year, I discussed with you that I do not flood on my property on Peggy Mac Lane, but you insisted that I was included in the floodplain for Maggie Valley. So I am here today to ask some questions about the MSBU. When I walked in this morning, I asked for a copy of the resolution and also a copy of the report of what you have done in the past year at the Maggie Valley because of the MSBU. The only visible things that I can see is that you use it as a station to hand out sandbags to everybody in Pasco County, not just Maggie Valley, and that there is a pump located on Rowan Road, and some cosmetic structures were done to the Rowan Road. I have only seen you mow the grass in there sometimes, and in reference to that rec center, if you knew that it was not repairable, why wasn't that part of the negotiation price that we paid $1.8 million to a landlord who had basically abandoned that land? I also question, is there a copy of what you have done during this time period and how much that cost? What I received was a very pretty bullet point report of what you guys are going to vote on, none of the details of what has happened in the past year. I also was hearing rumors that Mr. Wells had a meeting with the Maggie Valley people, which we were not invited to. There are other people included in that MSBU. Carlton Arms, there's a church over here on Little Road. I'm on Little Road on Maggie Valley. I was not invited to anything of him talking to the Maggie Valley people. If we are part of that MSBU, we have the right to have a meeting with somebody, and we should not have to ask them to come and be a speaker. My other thing is voicing the same thing as she has said. If you are selling any part of that land that you got in that MSBU, it needs to be notified by us. We are buying that property, and we need to approve of any sale that you have, and any profit from that should go back into the MSBU, thereby reducing that $28 fee that we are paying. And in reference to only some people showing up this morning, maybe if you advertised it a little bit better instead of on the internet and in the newspaper, more people would be here at 9 o'clock in the morning for a special meeting. Thank you very much. Oh, one more thing. It's an election year, and I think people seriously need to look at what jobs and what you have accomplished up here, because I, for one, am not happy. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Would anyone else like to speak on this item? Okay, and if I could speak on behalf of the board, I mean, this project is a great project. Some of the questions they had, I'll make sure that I get them answers or staff gets them answers. And there's some good questions there, but this project is helping larger than Magnolia Valley downstream. I mean, it's important, and I know we can get a list of what we've done the last 12 months. Obviously, it takes time. I know they're still studying it. Deloach, unfortunately, these things take time, but it is a viable project, and you know, it did pass. The MSBU folks were definitely more in favor than against, but I do take their questions very seriously, and I'll make sure they get answers.
Mr. Chairman, I think somebody mentioned tourism. If you look at the report that was done last week by tourism, you'll notice that the tourism numbers are incredible, and tourism is actually booming in Pasco County. So those are out there for everybody to look at. We're looking at projections of over $500 million economic impact and over $900,000 visitors in the projected 12 months. So it's tourism is doing pretty well.
And I would say we've got some great jobs in the last year or two come here, off the charts. I did have a question for you here. On the last bullet, it says the total value of the assessment is approximately $72,996. I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but she mentioned that the value, that we paid 1.8, and this is 72. So can you, maybe for the record, can someone go over the financing for this project?
Yes, ma'am. So for the MSBU, there's only $900,000 in the assessment because it's 50% of the total purchase price, so $1.8 million at 15 years on the assessment.
So the
But
county
that-
paid half, the residents paid half.
That's correct.
Okay, but
She's
this is
asking
for
about the last-
72,
The
so
last
that
bullet
isn't,
point right there.
That's a calculation that takes the total number of parcels times the value of the area. I can get you a detailed spreadsheet if you'd like.
well, I mean, that's just a portion of it then.
Annual payment.
Oh, it's the annual?
Yep.
Okay,
Annual
annual,
payment.
okay, gotcha. That doesn't say annual.
It should say annual, yes.
Yeah, you're missing a word, I think. in
Yes,
that
ma'am, we can revise for you.
sentence. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Mariano?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, to touch on the tourism aspect a bit, I mean, we've got a great investment going right now down at Hudson Beach. I tell you, staff has done a phenomenal job down there with the drainage they put in there. It looks like it's going to work and flow. I'm very, very impressed with it. The cooperation with the business owners and the people down there, everyone's very, very thrilled. It is an attraction, especially for sunsets. I mean, we got Green Key, Hudson, Anclote, SunWest, which, by the way, I think we should change this name to SunWest instead of SunWest Park, make it SunWest Beach coming up, but that'll be for another discussion. As far as the assessment goes in Magnolia Valley, you know, this was another situation where you had people flooding out big time. Neighborhoods just going down, plummeting values because of that. We had to take the stand, we had to negotiate. If we didn't buy it for the price we did, someone else could have bought it, and it was out in the market for others to get it. We could not afford to take the chance to lose control. So much as it would have been nice to be in a position of a little bit more leverage, I think what we did was the right thing for everybody in the Magnolia, not only in the golf course area, but every around the area, and I mean all the way out to the Gulf, because this could, if it can hold water back. I would like to float one idea out there. I had been approached a while ago about a guy who was going to do a development, talked about doing some improvements in stormwater. I haven't heard from that guy. But someone else had actually mentioned actually putting and taking some of the fill out as a commercial operation. I know sometimes we put a sand mine in place to actually get rid of fill. It might keep the price down to this MSBU down the road, so if staff wants to take a look at that and maybe come back to us at some point, it might be an idea of setting a commercial operation in there for a sand mine. The more sand they're pulling out of that area, the more capacity it's going to create, and then maybe at the end product, we can have something less expensive and it could still be viable.
Well, and they're still studying that and looking at the levels. But one thing that's important that Ms. Osteen brought up, and this is, we've talked about this several times, is staff maybe not working together with parks and environmental lands to kind of make these projects friendly to the Pasco citizens. And in this case, I know we've kind of talked about it after the fact, and I believe Commissioner Starkey brought it up back at the meeting that Ms. Osteen's talking about, but it's important that we have public access. It would be nice to have like an amenity. Obviously, this would not go over the $28 ERU, but to have some access and maybe kids fishing or something to where folks can access the pond if possible. And we've talked about, again, with Keith trying to work with stormwater. And so we're all on the same page to make sure it is. And I agree with Ms. Osteen. It really should be a public access, and folks should be able to enjoy it if that's possible. I know that Deloach is going to include that in their project and work together with everyone, so.
Right. Yes, sir. And
Okay.
as part of that, the funding sources will be separate for those amenities.
So would that move approval?
No, we're under discussion, so we already had a first and a second.
Oh, did we? Sorry.
We did?
Yep,
We did?
yep, because I started it under discussion,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
right?
Oh,
Ask the clerk, I'm pretty sure we're
Did
under
we-
discussion.
No?
Okay, that was the
I
last
didn't
one, I'm
think so.
sorry.
Okay, so we got a motion
Not
from
enough coffee.
Commissioner. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. With that, we are adjourned until 10 a.m., correct, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Kind of feels like Groundhog Day. I would like to call to order the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners meeting of August 21st, 2018. I would like to remind everyone to please silence your cell phones. At this time, I would like to ask you all to please rise for the invocation and pledge. Madam Clerk, once again.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence, and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Here.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Here.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
District 4, Chairman Wells.
Here. Thank you. Now is the time for public comment. Citizens are given an opportunity to comment on any item coming before the board during this public comment section. The board also takes public comment on items to be placed on future board agenda or other business under their purview. Public comment for public hearing items are taken during those individual public hearings beginning at 1:30. Individuals speaking, as soon as we don't. Individuals speaking during public comment will be given 3 minutes to speak. After stating your name and address for the clerk, the timer located on the podium will start a countdown. After 2 minutes, one beep will sound and the light on the timer will change from green to yellow, letting you know that only 1 minute remains. After the time is up, 2 beeps will sound, the light on the timer will change from yellow to red, indicating the 3 minutes are up, and you should close your comments. I have the following folks signed up to speak. If you could please come forward and just line up behind, you want to read it or no? Line up behind the next person, please. We would appreciate it.
Forgive me if I pronounce the name incorrectly. Ted Dorkaldaskis. Is this Spencer Wolf? Alan Rose.
Come forward, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. My name's Ted Darkadakis, and I own a property on State Road 54 in Barker. There's a zoning entry behind me. He's going to C2. I'm just for the C2 for him. I'll be residing there on the corner, so I need that to be taken into consideration when he's doing his development or his site plan. And also, right down the street is the Elfers Senior Community Center, and around the corner is the Baptist Church. And there's an excessive amount of traffic that comes down Barker to go to the daycare for the kids, and also the senior center down there also has trucks that go by there with the seniors. So I need that all to be taken into consideration when Mr. Pearl decides to put whatever he's going to put there. My understanding, there's going to be trucks and so forth.
Mr. Chairman, if I can interrupt the speaker for a minute. This is a public hearing item that's this afternoon.
Okay, correct.
Okay.
So you can't make it here this afternoon, that's why you're speaking now.
Okay,
Is that correct?
correct. Well, I just want to notify you that I'm going to be commercial zone, residential zoning next to the commercial. So you take that into consideration. I'm in Mr. Starkey's district.
So if you speak this morning, you can't speak this afternoon, that's
That'll
what?
be fine.
Okay.
Okay, you can continue, sorry.
Well, that's all I wanted to bring to your attention, that I'll be moving at that residence, and also the traffic issue. There might be a study done or whatever you have to do.
And what was your address?
My address is 4008 Barker, and the property in question is 4024.
Yeah. Just look.
All righty, thank you.
That appears to be item P6 this afternoon.
Maybe if somebody could follow up with him to answer those questions he had. I know they're all going to be addressed. But thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Spencer Wolf,
Good morning.
please state your name and address for the record.
Spencer Wolf, 11807 Little Road, Newport Richey.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thanks for the opportunity to address you. We sent a presentation to all the commissioners, and today, hopefully, we've managed to distribute the hard copy. Who we are in 3 minutes, what we do, the area, the challenges, and available help is, quite frankly, a difficult task to accomplish in 3 minutes, but I'll speak very quickly and do my best. So we are a group that has reopened, regenerated, and is developing the old Panache distillery on the corner of Little Road. We've been working in there for the last year, and we are now federally and state fully licensed, and proud to say we went into production 3 weeks ago. We're a group of very experienced, old, kind of a dad's army outfit, you know, too old for corporate life, but too young to lay down and die. So we have amazing Rolodexes, amazing industry knowledge, and frankly, we have a facility that both ourselves and the community should be proud of. We've encompassed significant difficulties within the area. Basically, it seems to be an extension of a rubbish dump for, you know, all types of trash disposal, you know, 12 or 18 hours a day. We also have a problem with vagrancy outside, and we try and move on people as sympathetically as possible, but in a federally bonded facility, it's a security issue. What we do, and I'm very conscious of not overstepping my time, is we are co-packing for major national and international brands. We've secured contracts with a major rum company. Commissioner Mariano came and visited us last week and saw us actually in production. We also have contracts for low alcohol drinks going nationally into 7-Eleven, potentially into...
Just, you can go, it's 3 minutes, but you go, just if you can
Okay,
kind of wrap it up.
I'll move quick. potentially into outlets, the equivalent of Costco in South America. We have a vodka brand that we've just signed a contract with, which is basically NDAs, forgive me, but an NDA stops me, elaborating too much on it, but is represented by a leading rapper. Now, rapper's not my scene, as you can see from my accent and my appearance. However, it involves very major top-line celebrities. And in the books you'll see, but I just don't particularly want to mention it in a public forum. So we have a range of products that are being distributed to national and international retailers. We have export opportunities for a number of brands. And because of the nature of the site, we have excellent internal access, which allows tankers to come in and out very quickly. We have relationships at the port of Tampa. We also, when we applied for our federal license, applied for the whole site to be bonded. So the whole 6-acre site is actually bonded, which gives us tremendous flexibility to A, use the location of Florida, and B, store goods in containers that can leave the premises very quickly.
Okay.
We, a couple of...
You can just wrap it up real quick.
Yeah,
We've
sure.
got a bunch, yeah, well,
Couple of major points. Every bottle that is manufactured goes out with the name Newport Richey on it. And you'll see the pictures in the book. So it starts to expose the area into areas, frankly, it's not renowned for. I've listed in the presentation the challenges because I don't want to overstay my welcome and the help that we would like. There's one last comment I would like to make, and let me preface it by saying that I have enormous respect and gratitude for the police. I think the job they do is beyond my limited vocabulary, and I just couldn't imagine ever possessing the fortitude to do it. That being said, I don't know whether this is the appropriate forum, but we've been dealing with national retailers who have seen the coverage that's on live PD. And out of all the obstacles that we've had to overcome in a normal trading relationship, validating the area is not one that we thought we would come up against. A number of people...
Okay, we got to have you wrap it up, but because we've got 20 other people signed up.
Sorry,
and I can't, but I can tell you we appreciate your time, we're excited to have you in Pasco. I look forward to touring up there, and we can set up a meeting with Sheriff Naco, and you can address those, but we're all a team. We all are working to address the concerns. So thank you very much.
For your time.
Thank
It's
you, sir.
unfortunate you weren't under commissioners' items, and then you'd had more time, but I look forward to coming to visit.
Introduce and give you these and
Thank you.
say,
Yeah.
Very exciting. Thank you
Glad
very
you're
much.
here.
Alan Rose, and if the following people could line up behind Mr. Rose: Mitchell Kobernick, Donna Herrick, and Dan Callahan. Mr. Rose is here to speak on Green Key Beach, and if you could state your name and address for the record.
Move to receive. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any
Just give them
opposed?
here, I'll distribute them. Now we're running a little behind. Thanks.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Alan Rose, 10221 Hilltop Drive, Newport Richey, Florida. And today I'm here, just a brief presentation. I brought others before you. This one is about the Robert K. Reese Memorial Park, Green Key Beach. Protecting our mangroves is so important to our nature coast. Our proposal is to create protective barrier island just seaward of the mangroves, 200 to 400 feet seaward of the mean low water mark, This barrier island will create a protection for these mangroves they haven't had, and many acres of beautiful beaches Pasco County residents have been missing. Enhancing the Robert K. Reese Memorial Park and adding many acres of pristine beaches for swimming, fishing, and water recreation, along with providing habitat for sea turtle nesting and migratory seabirds. This island will be connected to the park with two boardwalks, one at the southern end from the current beach area and another extending from the current mangroves overlook boardwalk. This will be the 200-foot span area, then expanding to a 400 wide as you move northward, enabling the paddle boards and watercraft to access the Gulf and open waters as they currently do. To construct this island, we will dredge a 200-foot canal starting just west of the current beach area, creating a 200-foot canal proceeding northward, expanding to a 400-foot canal from 2 foot to 4 foot deep at mean low water. Using these dredge spoils to create the base of the island. Once this is completed, go 1,000 foot seaward of the island and dredge to a depth of 4 feet offshore to 1 feet at the beach, using these fine spoils for the beaches. And I've brought other projects before you, and they can all apply into this. We've also brought to you in this, you'll see access to over $26 million of funding. Before, I've brought to you $13 million of funding. Total this year that we have missed is attending $40 million, and that's only through the Department of Interior, the federal government, and it's under the access to the Coastal Barrier Resource Act. That's also in your packet there. So, and in this, you'll see I tagged further back about flooding and about storm surge. And you can read through this, and you'll see that this will help. You can put any of these projects together, and you can work on attaining this funding through the Department of Interior to help. So this is what I've brought before you because I've tried time and again. I've attempted to work with the county, the employees in the county office, and the constant thing is I have to hire another employee to handle something like this. I just can't bring it forward, and that's why I've always brought it to you, and I brought you ways to fund this. If you need to fund the employee, work through this. I have my conflict is with the work I do. I cannot actively do this for you, but I can bring you this information and hope that the commissioners bring this to whoever it needs to go to take action and get something done beautiful for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
He's working hard on this.
Yes, it is.
Good ideas.
Good morning. Morning.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Mitchell Kobernick, 5001 South Shore in Gulf Harbors. My topic for today is the county's procedures for land purchases. In September 2016, a public records request was filed with the county requesting their procedures for acquisition of real property. The only document produced in response to this lawful request was the ELAMP Standard Operating Procedures. It was also posted on the county website at the time. But when questioned about whether the county was properly following those procedures in their attempt to purchase the Gulf Harbors golf course, the county's response was that this document was only a draft, even though it was dated back in 2007. And it was then removed from the website. Since then, the county has advanced a new theory. The county's legal representative, when asked about this ELAMP SOP in his deposition, stated under oath, "We're not required to use this." And it's the county's position that policies must be adopted by the board in order for them to be official and be required by staff to follow up. Now, ELAMP uses voter-approved penny for Pasco funds to purchase land, and the county has now taken the legal position that there are no procedures the county is obligated to follow when the county spends these taxpayer funds on land purchases. This lack of procedures has real-world consequences. When the county purchased the Magnolia Valley and Timber Oaks golf courses, they didn't do any environmental testing before they bought them. That's completely contrary to any good real estate practice. For Timber Oaks, the cost to clean up the contaminants that were in fact found after the purchase has not been fully disclosed. The question's been asked for a year now, just who's going to pay for that cleanup? Is the seller going to pay? Will the county? Or is it going to end up being added to the MSBU that the Timber Oaks residents will have to pay? The county has still not answered that question, although after Diane's speech this morning, I understand maybe those answers are now forthcoming. Pasco County recently received a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, and I offer my congratulations to staff that prepared the budget. The county has some talented and dedicated people, particularly at ELAMP, who want to do the right thing. But this lack of formal procedures leaves the door open for error or manipulation of the purchase process. The county should follow best practices for land purchases and not leave it open to the whim of those negotiating the purchase or those directing it. This also applies to the county's extensive use of MSBUs. An MSBU taxes a specific community for a project that is supposed to benefit that community. All MSBUs proposed by the county should be subjected to greater scrutiny to ensure that they meet that standard and should be challenged when necessary. Current events demonstrate that these MSBUs can in fact be challenged and be done so successfully. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Please state your name and address for the record, and if you could pull the microphone down. Thank you.
Donna Herrick, 15401 Cary Lane in Hudson.
Thank you.
And I guess I have to start out with the opening question. How can a county sell a road where 9 individuals live with 9 residents, especially to a deranged individual? Back in May, it started, there's a junkie comes from his place at 3:30 in the morning. I guess she was trying to chase our rubber geese out of the yard, but hollering at the top of her lungs. He has turned in everybody within a mile radius. We just don't get any peace in that area. The place looks like a dump. 4 months ago, I was told this abandoned school bus has to go, but he just covered it with a tarp and drove it farther into what few trees are left. We had a tree taken down from Irma, partially taken down, and wanted to get the rest removed. We had to get a permit. He has cut down 45 to 50 trees, and the debris is still laying there since March, April, something like that, and his isn't cleaned up. The neighbor, another neighbor had a tree knocked down by lightning to set the yard on fire. He didn't get his yard cleaned up within a week, so code enforcement was called again, and the kid was fined and had to get that and an unlicensed car that he was repairing for his sister. This guy's got 6, 7 cars in all forms of disrepair. He has chased out 3 residents, rentals, near our property. He's doing everything against code enforcement. When we moved in, it was zoned agriculture. He's got a welding business that there's trucks going through. He's harassing everybody to help him repair the road. He's threatening to put up a fence at the end of the road to keep anyone from going through without paying. Now he's erecting posts on government property near the retention pond, fence posts. He put a fence post in front, well, it's a telephone pole really, in front of our second gate, so we can only use one gate. And the one we use, we want to put a pavement in going into the garage, but we won't be able to until he removes that post next to the gate. We called the police, and they said they've got hundreds of complaints against him, but nothing gets done.
Ma'am, have you met with, I know you mentioned code enforcement, you met with Micah?
I have met with everyone from code enforcement.
You met with
They're
Micah?
They're
Okay.
the ones that said that bus has to go.
Okay, well, Mike is in the back, who's over code enforcement. If you haven't met with him, maybe just see him, and we'll get these things addressed. And I took some notes, and I know Commissioner Mariano will follow up on it.
He was even
So-
out at the house 10 years ago. Everything's escalated from there.
Okay.
Nothing gets done.
Thank you, ma'am. Mike, if you don't mind, please, sir.
Dan Callahan, and if you could line up behind Mr. Callahan, Christine Hanlon, Diane Kobernick, Frank Bakita. I'm sorry if I pronounced that last name wrong.
Morning, sir, and thank you for your service.
Dan Callahan, 7108 Daggett Terrace, Newport Richey. This morning I wanted to talk about a concept now supported by numerous scientific studies that is called forest bathing. These studies have been documented in the Netherlands and primarily in Japan, and are now a consideration in a number of American cities and towns, as well as states. I prepared 2 packets that provide lists of resources on this concept, and I'd like to leave them in your office if I may. The remainder of my time is to show you the connection between these studies on forest bathing and the consequences, intentional or otherwise, of putting the Ridge Road Extension Highway through the Serenova Wilderness Tract. Entering any wilderness for any amount of time seems beneficial mentally and physically to those who do it, but beyond just a feeling that that is so, scientists have conducted studies to demonstrate that it's more than that, and their findings are really astounding. In scientifically measurable ways, negative emotions such as sadness and anger and anxiety are reduced, and positive qualities like improvements in memory and focus and self-discipline take place. Hostility and depression decrease. After just 5 minutes in a green natural space, self-esteem and mood improvements improve. Physically, the levels of heart pulse rate, blood pressure, and other basic functions are greatly improved. Children with attention deficit show better concentration after walking through a natural area. Forest bathing improves the body's immune function, helping the body to fight off diseases. One of the studies showed that 1 trip to the forest creates a month's worth of immune system improvement, and an aspect of that is just inhaling what we call phytomycites from the plants and trees. In a measurable way, in another study, an experience in a natural setting not only improved the body's immune function, it even produced anti-cancer proteins. Perhaps a number of you are aware of this concept called forest bathing. It's new to me just in the last few months, though it has been a subject in many publications, including the Atlantic Magazine and Mother Earth News. I hope you won't dismiss it as another version of tree hugging or vegan extremism. Forest bathing really needs forest and woodlands and lakes and shrubberies and bushes, and that's ours and your Serenova Wilderness Tract. If we buzzsaw a 4-lane highway with its noises, its concrete and pavement, and its gasoline and oil smells, you're not only affecting the animals and plants that live there, you're depriving Pasco citizens of a natural place for them to be mentally and physically healthier people. As the number of people in huge developments and crowded roads increase, so will road rage and other forms of anger, anxiety, and stress that will contribute eventually to a stand-your-ground situation here in Pasco. So you have it in your power to save our Serenova and at the same time improve the mental and physical health of our Pasco citizens by encouraging them to go there. A bigger sign on Route 52 near Hayes Road would help, especially if you stop being secretive about this zombie highway to nowhere. I know of no one who would gloat or cheer if you decide the Ridge Road extension is a highway too far and too destructive and too expensive for us to bear. Despite our dedication in the SOS Coalition, we wish you a good bathing in the Serenova that will restore you to good moral and spiritual health regarding this matter.
Thank you, sir.
Christine Hanlon, please state your name and address for the record.
Good morning.
Christine Hanlon. My address is 3215 Huntington Road, Holiday Lake Estates, Holiday. I'm here to express my gratitude for the AM Skills program. Commissioner Starkey and Tom and Melinda, they've all been wonderful. My son is homeschooled. He's back there, Dylan. He's just finished his first year in the program last year, and I see tremendous value in this apprenticeship program, not only for the students, but for our county. it's great addition to the homeschool program with Dylan, so he can have hands-on and see another career path for his future, one that won't put him in debt, which I like. So I just can't say enough. I just support the apprenticeship program and being through the school system and the college system and the job. You know, you learn a lot about the job on hands and things that you can't learn from the books. And it's just tremendous. So I just want to thank you all and thank Tom for everything. And thank you for providing this opportunity for our youth in our county.
Well, it's great you're here. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Hello again. My name is Diane Kobernick. I live at 5001 South Shore in Gulf Harbors. On your November ballot, you're asking your constituent to vote for a bond of $20,200,000 because you say you need this for parks and recreation maintenance. You're telling us you need all this extra money, yet you keep buying more land for parks and recreation. Today alone, you will be considering 3 more properties to purchase. If you can't afford to keep up what you already have, why should we vote in favor for this? You've carved out about 9% of the penny for Pasco monies for the purchase of sensitive land, yet ELAMP has no standard operating procedures to follow for the purchase of these lands. As of February 2018, at this BOCC meeting, Mr. Keith Wiley announced that he had approximately $29 million available in ELAMP funds. Yet, you have no problem burdening our property owners for actual needs. You've decided that when streets need paving, property owners of that street should pay for it, even though these streets are not private and are open to all of us. For this, you created paving assessments. You are currently burdening 22 areas, anywhere from $1,050 per property to $7,350 per property. But let's look at a small portion of your spending. ELAMP, you've purchased so far 3,533 acres of land for approximately $23 million. Sunwest, another park, was created to attract tourism and to make its money. Has it created tourism? We can't find the answer to that. Per your 2019 budget, even if we could even agree on the expenses, if you've looked at those, and revenues, as stated, it is slated to lose $55,000 in 2019. You can't afford to keep up what you already have. Why should we vote in favor of this bond? The county needs better procedures to follow to use and spend taxpayer money. Thank you.
Thank you.
If the following people can line up behind Mr., is it Fakid? Brian Pastor, and I only have the first name of Connie. Please state your name and address for the record.
Frank Feckerty. I live at 13820 Victor Avenue, Hudson, Florida. First of all, I'm here to address our need for dredging in our area, the channels. But before I do, I want to thank the commission for helping with the platting of Boatyard Drive. And just so you know, we already have plans and there'll be one house being built on that land coming up shortly. So thank you again for all the help on that one. Well, dredging is very important. I've owned land here since 1982 on the water, so I've seen all the dredging projects go by, the couple that we had, which really didn't do the job. It was just kind of a dusting off of the rocks that we know about, that the shrimpers originally started. And we hear that there's going to be a dredging proposal coming up. And it'd be nice to do it all the right way when we do it this time. And also, there's channels that need to be dredged that aren't there. And one of the big ones is Driftwood Isles there. I mean, they can't go in and out at low tide, basically. So I'm here just to say, I remember in 2004, when the word got out that Hudson's going to be dredging a channel where big boats could come in, real estate prices started going pretty quick. and people were buying homes very quickly, under the belief of that. Of course, that never happened. And then the crash came and all that, though. So I'm just saying, if you're going to hire a dredger, this would be the time to do them all. I mean, that really need them, because it's cheaper once he's here to go do them all, because it's a big operation to do that the right way. And I'm just here to emphasize that. I hope we're going to do it the right way this time. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Well, good morning. My name is Brian Feaster. I live at 18706 Maple Leaf Drive in Hudson, and I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for giving me a couple of moments to speak. Like Frank, I am here in support of a new proposal for the dredging of the coastal areas here in Pasco County. I'm a local real estate agent, so I have the opportunity to represent property owners on the West Coast, and I can tell you that there are several areas on the West Coast that could really benefit in elevating the values of their properties, elevating the development, the future money that could come into the county by allowing larger vessels to have ingress, egress, especially in areas, Frank mentioned Driftwood Isles, that's one of the specific areas, and all the way down the coast. And with that, you know, this area draws people that come here for boating, for fishing, for water sports, and this would actually accentuate our county, bring more money in, new blood would be a real good thing to see. And Frank even mentioned something I wasn't going to mention today about dredging, but I think doing it the right way and having a comprehensive plan that would take into account all of the coastal areas at one time would be a great idea, to be able to hit it in one fell swoop and really, really put a new charge into that, into the coastal area and the concentration there. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Good morning. Nervous. I just put my first name, Connie Neese, 7633 Hatteras Drive, Hudson, Florida, Sea Pines neighborhood. I want to start out with talking about the dredging also, that I own a property in Driftwood Isles, have since 1994, and the same thing, we thought we were going to get dredged and be able to get the boats in and out. And I'm also a local realtor here for 15 years, and I just think that, you know, they did do that little short dredging there at Hudson Beach, or not Hudson Beach, where was it? Yeah, Sea Ranch in that area years ago. But, you know, we're trying to promote people and get their values up on their properties, and the dredging would just, you just can't get in. You get stuck out there. We've been stuck out there before, too. So that's really something I think would be a benefit for the West Coast here, for all of us that are on the water or you know, would like to see our values get up there and stay up there if possible. The other thing I want to bring up, a real short thing here, is that we own another little house that we bought 10 years ago, and we used it as a rental in Beacon Woods, which is a nice neighborhood. We ended up, the renters turned into drug dealers, destroyed the house, punched holes in the walls. We had to totally go in and renovate the whole house all over again. At that point, we decided we weren't going to rent it full time. So we did the short-term rental. All right. It was working out pretty good. We just opened it up in May. You know, we owned the house 10 years, so we satisfied the being able to lease rule, which I don't think was in place when we bought that property. But we've had such good luck. It's no less than 3 days, and some of them are a month, or, you know, or 3 weeks, or 2 weeks. And it's just been so popular, and we're promoting all these places here. There are businesses that are benefiting from this by these tourists coming in and spending their dollars here, helping us. Unfortunately, code enforcement shut us down. So we now are in the position, we put a lot of money in this house to renovate it, and now we're in the position that we have to sell the house, because I'm not going to rent it full time and have somebody destroy it. So it just seems like the HOA, I don't know where the complaint came from, but I think it started with the HOA, that they would be more, this is really turns out cute. If you look, well, you can't look it up anymore, it's off the site, but we put a lot into it, probably $10,000-15,000 just to make it nice. And 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 1-car garage, you know, for a few people to come stay. So we'd really like to see that short-term rental changed, if possible, for us to better than Anyway, thank you very much for listening to me. I appreciate it, and have a great day. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay, that was the last speaker. If you'd not signed up in advance and you'd like to address the board, please come forward. Okay, seeing no one, that will conclude public comment portion of the agenda. We'll move on to R1. Commissioner Starkey.
Yes, this morning we are going to have, is this on?
You don't want to do that, the items?
Oh, sorry, hang on. Well, can we do them and then we'll go to consent afterwards? Go ahead, that's fine. You're good, guys. I know
Okay.
we said 10 o'clock, so.
Right,
You're
great.
good. Come
They
on,
gotta
Tom,
get
you're
back.
good.
This morning, we're going to have a presentation from Tom Madano and some of our students at AmSkills. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Tom Madonna, the Executive Director of AmSkills, and just wanted to just give you a brief update of kind of why we're here, what we've done, and to have you hear some stories from some of our success stories. But briefly, AmSkills was the American Manufacturing Skills Initiative that was created in 2015. If you look across the country, they're looking at, in the next 10 years, over 3.4 million jobs in manufacturers being needed, but only 1.4 getting filled, leaving a shortfall of 2 million jobs in manufacturing industry. But let's look closer to home. This just came out by the Pasco Economic Development Council, and they had done a survey, and basically they're looking at an increase in needs for hiring starting in 2019. And when you look at the survey that they did, the majority of those that completed the survey were manufacturing. And of that, 78% of the respondents indicated the difficulty in recruiting skilled and unskilled labor. And that is exactly why we were created, to help address that issue right here in Pasco County. And basically, we have been created to be an industry-driven, what is the needs of industry, and designing the programs to help accommodate that. So far, we've had what we consider quite a bit of a success. What you see up here are some of the companies that we have people working at right here in Pasco County. True Simulation, Fax Engineering, Polaris, Mettler Toledo, and others. Briefly, one of our students currently is just finished our pre-apprenticeship, our adult pre-apprenticeship, and has been living in a homeless shelter with her 3 children, and she is getting ready to start next week at True Simulation. So we're very excited about that and being able to help her turn her life around. Basically, we started with our youth pre-apprenticeship. We've been an after-school program, which makes it difficult because we're trying to compete against transportation and things like that. We are now moving our program into the school day. This current year, we're working in Pinellas County with Northeast High School. This now can convert our participation into the hundreds as far as our youth programs. We're also working with Pasco County, hopefully for next year, to get us into the Kren Technical High School as a part of their program. But the other part of it is our adult program. We've now started an adult program last year, and we have reduced that program to 3 months. So basically, 4 times a year for adults and 1 time youth, we can be producing skilled and unskilled labor for our manufacturing industry. Also, one of the most difficult parts in manufacturing as a whole is recruitment. And this is where we're always looking for alternative ideas to do that. One way we're doing that is we recently received a grant from CareerSource, as well as a grant from the city of St. Petersburg to buy a mobile workshop, and we're going to be getting out into the community. And Melinda, who's pictured there, is our administrative assistant, and she's a MIG welder, and she actually does artwork. And so she's going to be creating these programs to help introduce women to the industry, because there's a tremendous opportunities that many people don't realize in the manufacturing industry. We run the program as if you're coming to work, which that means we are a vetting process for our manufacturers. Half of the time is spent on the basic foundational skills needed in manufacturing, but the other part of it is focusing on the different types, 5 different careers. These are the top 5 positions in the Tampa Bay area. If you're trying to figure out what to do in a career, how do you know what you're going to do? You talk about manufacturing, there's so many jobs, how do you know which one to go? So basically, they do projects in each of these areas, so they get to figure out. So by the time they come out of it, they're like, I want to be a machinist, or I want to do mechatronics. So it's really helping them to sort out what it is they want. We then take them on tours to manufacturers so they get to see firsthand. And we recently were donated some funding from Dr. James Gills to help us in that effort. We also want to help them to give back to the community. So we also require our students to do community service projects as well. So bottom line, there's 3 career paths that they end up coming out with. Semi-skilled positions, skilled apprenticeships, as well as those going to college. And we are working in all of these areas and helping them to get jobs once they complete the program. We will not place them until they finish 400 hours, and at that point we know what they want to take, and then we work with the local manufacturers to get them placed, and some of them will ultimately become apprentices. The other key to it is long-term success. What happens? Oftentimes they just start a job and then what? They're on their own. They don't know what to do. So what we do is we work with the company to have mentors, and we train their staff members on how to be mentors, and then we assign a coach. That way we have that connection to help them as they start and launch their career. I'm going to conclude now with a couple stories and a couple speakers, but this is Eric. He was going to Ridgewood High School. His mom called us up. He was not sure what he wanted to do, came into our program.
Wait, she found the brochure in the library, the mom, right?
Yes, absolutely. And get to in a moment, but we have, one of the problems is most manufacturers won't hire under 18-year-olds. So we have developed a fantastic partnership, and I'm going to ask our utilities, Rob Marin, to come up and some others, to where during the summer, the stormwater utilities will take on some of our students to work as an intern during the summer months between their junior and senior year. He did this, and this is now becoming, we're also learning their departments also have problems finding people with these skills, and our program is helping. So this year we're going to be working with them to become a pipeline for them. But real quick before I get to that, lastly, his mom, as I told you about, found us. She then lost her job, went through our program, and we also have worked on getting her a job as well. So to kind of show the benefits.
Great story.
At this point, I want to ask Dylan first to come up, and wanted to present to our utilities department and to Pasco County a certificate of appreciation to you. This is actually a frame that our students actually made, and we just want to thank you all specifically for that particular program because it's truly benefiting our students, and we want to just thank you for doing that.
Thanks,
So,
Tom.
pleasure having you.
So I'm not sure if you explained it very well, but our students intern with the Utilities Department. I don't know if you want to talk about it real quick?
You want to?
Sure. Wally Witznamy, Maintenance Manager for Utilities O&M. Pleasure to be here. It's been pretty fulfilling to be able to give something back to the young in this community in a field that, as Tom mentioned, myself and others at my level, we're starting to see the end of our career coming up, and we're trying to fill the pipeline behind us. So working in this program has really been beneficial for us. We had people working in treatment plants, machine shops, pump stations, hooking up water meters. Anywhere we could put a student, we tried to do that, and we're going to keep on trying to do that.
Wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we actually have a student who's applied for and is being considered in the stormwater treatment area right now.
For a job.
For a job, correct. Now what I'd like to do is just to conclude, bring up 2 people. First, I'm going to bring up Alex. Alex, if you'll come up here real quick. Alex came to us in our adult program. He's a veteran from the Army. And on the second day he started, we noticed he was kind of sweaty. And we were like, how come? Turns out he was walking 3 miles to get to our program. And so what we did is we actually contacted a local nonprofit, a bike ministry, and by the 3rd day we had a bike donated to him so that he could get there, and then we worked with the bus system to get him discounts. So the point on that is we're working with other nonprofits to help them succeed because oftentimes they don't even know where to go for help. But I'd like to ask Alec to make a few words because he's now working at Oscore as well.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Alex. When I first started the program, I didn't really know what to do. I was just coming out of the service not too long ago. The service was kind of something I wanted to do my whole life. I figured what's more honorable than the soldier. I figured it was going to be a good career. Unfortunately, due to some medical issues, I couldn't continue. By that point, college was out of my grasp because I come from a very poor background. I didn't know which way to go, which way to turn, so I was going any job I can get my hands on, anyone who's willing to pay me. Well, I got into a car accident, and my boss decided to fire me. So after that, I was kind of on my luck. I heard about the AM Skills program. I decided to show up. I attended the first day, and it was actually kind of rewarding, as you can tell. I actually just started a week after graduating, started my new job. I'm in my 5th week now. I'm currently working in shipping, inspecting, and one other department. I think it's inventory, along with my main position as a builder. I'm currently making medical devices for patients with either heart conditions that have to use a pacemaker or things along those lines. And thanks to the schooling, I've actually come a long way. I went from nothing to something.
That's awesome.
Awesome job, Alex. Awesome job.
I'm going to go ahead and wrap up with one more guest. Back in 2016, the Florida Chamber did a survey, and they actually asked colleges, how well prepared are new grads to go directly into the workforce? Colleges indicated 89% they're ready to go. They then asked employers the same question. This is in the state of Florida. 11% indicated that they're ready to go to work after graduating college. So with that, I'd like to introduce Richard Valdez. He's actually in our current program. He's only been with us for about 3 weeks, but he's 32 hours away from his mechanical engineering degree. And I'd like him to tell you briefly about his short time and what he's learned.
Hello, my name is Richard Valdez. I was attending a major university here in Florida for a couple of years, and I was pursuing my mechanical engineering degree, of course. And I became frustrated with the university system because I believed that they were not providing the training in order to get us as engineering students a job after we obtained our degrees. So I sought internships and things like that, and then I discovered that I really needed hands-on experience in order to be the most effective engineer that I possibly could. So with that, just attending 3 weeks of AM Skills is really allowing me to see the progression of my future as an engineer. I'm not entirely sure what field I would like to go into, but AM Skills will allow me to have experience in all of those fields in order to see where I would like to go. And it's an extremely beneficial thing to have hands-on experience rather than sitting in a lecture hall, in my opinion, because I've been there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and conclude. This is Robert, which you may have heard. He was our first, he actually graduated from Sun Lake High School, and he's currently been working in a Farmer Works. He's gotten his AS degree at Pasco Hernando State College. He's ready to go to Central Florida.
That's a good school. National champions, by the way.
But the point of that is, this is amazing. Well, number one, he built his own CNC machine, which is pretty cool, in his bedroom. But the company is considering paying for his last 2 years of mechanical engineering degree with the intent that he'll come back here to Pasco County and make his resident. So when you start talking about what is the impact, what is the investment that you all have made in AM Skills, we're starting to see the results. And ultimately, it's hard to see the results when you start looking at all the numbers, and we understand that. But we've got more than 30 18 actually that have been placed working right here in Pasco County. And so there's a tremendous amount of investment. Lastly, I just want to mention we now have our 501c3. We are actively pursuing state grants and many other grants. We're seeing success with that. So we are actively working to continue to get additional funding. But we just thank you all for your support and appreciate everything you're doing.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman? Yeah. Hey, Tom?
Tom, if you
John?
want to come back up real quick?
Just want to throw a few comments. You know, you've been in this program from day one.
Almost.
Pretty close. You know, just kind of like stayed with every step of the way. The work you're doing with our citizens is great. When I look at the Tampa Bay Partnership years ago, with the first studies they were doing, it was like, we've got 3,200 of these jobs out there, just need to train the workforce. I love your idea of trying to help them, keep them here in the area of the region. And I'll tell you, when you talk about the struggle of getting to and from work as you're going through these programs, you know, we've helped the Pace Center for Girls, jurors, the Rope Center folks, homeless folks, et cetera, having transportation issues to try to help them out. I would like to see the board take a look at bringing a program forward to help these people get transportation at no charge, especially during the program, and maybe even a year or two afterward to help them. And that may even take in reaching out to PSTA and HART, you know, Pinellas and Hillsborough's transportation systems, and kind of work all together to try to help these interns get jobs, because it's going to raise the workforce level. And when I think employers see that internationally, they're going to say, you know what, that's a very heads-up program, a region working together as well, and I think it hopefully could help the program.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes.
I got two other ideas.
Okay.
I love the frames.
Yeah.
I think maybe we should look at contracting with you guys to build the frames for us for our resolutions, and at the bottom of them, you could put on you know, built by Skills.
Okay, absolutely.
Something like
That's
that.
a great idea. Yes.
You know, just watching, and you work with the Pace Center for Girls was great. And one last thought, we've talked about this, I'm sure we've talked with the rest of us. Would you like to see a letter from us with federal legislation modifying what they've already approved for training programs to make sure that you guys could actually take part in getting that funding as well? Because right now, you're being left out the way it was
Yes,
crafted.
absolutely. What's kind of ironic, I'm on the state apprenticeship committee to help change the way apprenticeships are. It's an antiquated system. But for instance, what you're kind of talking to, the federal Department of Labor just came out with a new grant for apprenticeship expansion, $150 million, but you have to be a university to apply for it. And apprenticeships, by definition, are either college or apprenticeships. So we are working and have been working to try to get that changed. And so absolutely, that would help from that perspective. Plus, also, we are applying for the state of Florida and others to get additional grants. Because while we're fairly still new, we are continuing to run into challenges every day that we can solve, but but we need to continue to keep going forward, and we appreciate that.
Well, let's work with you to draft a letter to go to the state and to the feds. That would help that.
And I'm sure you
Yeah.
can help with your position in NACO to
Yes,
drive that
yes.
as well.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, Tom.
I know I skipped around a little bit, but I know they were sitting there waiting patiently. And
Yeah, thanks.
so the next order of business is the consent agenda. I do have a poll sheet with the following items listed: C18, poll and revise; C26, withdrawn; C35, withdrawn. Board members, any other consent items to be pulled?
And I move for approval of the remaining consent items.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. C18.
Oh, there they all go.
Good morning, Stacy Ziegler, Purchasing Director. We just revised the cover sheet for PU 18 so that it reflects the 1 million requested in the agenda memo.
Making a motion.
So,
moved.
yeah, there you go, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now we'll go back to the regular consent item R2.
Board members, Christy Sims, Pasco County Attorney's Office. I'm here to request direction from the board. Is the recommendation of the County Attorney's Office and the building official that appeals of final determinations that a structure meets the criteria for demolition be sent to a hearing officer rather than the Pasco County Construction Board. I'm here to answer any questions. The primary reason for my recommendation for this shift is, number one, I think that it would be helpful for staff and for the county's goals for me to be able to present these appeals as the prosecutor and in a position as an advocate, and I can't do that and advise the construction board at the same time on cases. It's a due process issue. And second, we anticipate a number of increased demo-related activities after October 1st, and currently I do not believe that the construction board schedule is going to be able to accommodate the potential number of appeals within their current schedule, so they would need to increase their meeting time, and those are volunteers. That's the primary basis for my recommendation, unless the board has any questions for me or for the building official.
Second. All in favor? Oh, you have any comment,
Just
Commissioner?
come before we pull the vote. Christie, I think you're doing a phenomenal job trying to get these things through. I have talked to construction board members, one of them specifically with this proposal. They understand what you're trying to do. At least one of them is comfortable with it, and I'll say this. I think at a minimum, give it a year's time. Let's see how it goes. It's budget neutral. So I think this could help you get your stuff through. And rather than us having all these hearings, I think the way they're going to set it up is worth a shot. So we're supporting you, I think, coming up.
Keep trying it till we find the most efficient manner.
Yeah, but you're doing a heck of a job with it. Thank you.
Yes,
And then the
and you
whole
do.
team is.
I know you don't hear it enough, but thank you. I know I've listened to the meetings, so thank you for what you do. And again, construction board's a good board, but I think this will help them, and it'll help us streamline and get these things done. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. R3.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ainsley Caldwell, Pavement Management, Public Works. Staff was asked to bring this project back for the board to consider whether or not to have it as a board-initiated project. This is a Hammock Road project, PVS number 3322, and this is one street in this project. The estimated project cost is $233,628. Maximum cost per ERU is $9,417. The amount of the discount is $54,907. And after the discount, the maximum cost per ERU is $7,313. This is a project area, and just a couple photographs showing the condition of the road. This is a Hammock looking west from US 19. This is at Pine Tree Lane and Hammock. And this is towards the end, the west end of Hammock Road. Staff is asking for approval.
Mr. Chairman, if I ask a question?
Commissioner Mariano.
Ainsley, is there any reason the cul-de-sac area with the white spot on the map, that they weren't included in this assessment?
Oops, I was trying to go back. That is, I think you're talking about the Pine Tree, thank you. The white area to the right is the Pine Tree Lane project, and that was approved in February. So as per the methodologies, the maximum assessment per property is at 100%. So they were assessed previously.
Okay, they're assessed at 100% already?
Yes.
So they'll get assessed this time?
That's correct.
All right. And Board, I will tell you, looking at this program, and that's a phenomenal high number. I don't know how this is going to go, but I think you'll expect to hear back, and I'll get their input back to you. I don't expect this to get approved just the way it's set up, but at least we'll start a conversation and we can take a look at it, because this is a road that's right off US 19. It's in terrible shape, and I just think that if we're going to really improve West Pasco, we've got to kind of look at some of these roads. And you've heard me talk before, up and down 19, with businesses right beside it, with things that are functioning along the county. When these roads are so terrible, it actually hurts the redevelopment and the focus of US 19. So this is just going to be one of those test cases where we'll kind of like go out, get the input back, and we'll have another meeting back. But I will do the public hearing, and we'll see how the responses go. Thank you.
We are approving today to move forward
Yes,
with
yeah, we're
the
gonna go forward.
board-initiated paving.
Right, and part of that is going forward is to have a public hearing.
Yeah, you still have to have a public hearing.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Any other questions?
Move approval.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to old business. Commissioner Oakley.
Old business.
Ainsley, can you stay for a second?
It's kind of quick. I'd just like to bring your attention, I know we have a lot of different groups in the county that reach out and, you know, we do the feeding the elderly, and there's groups over in Zephyr Hills area, there was Elks Club over there that had feeding the kids this summer. And there's a project they've had going for about 3 years. They, that Elks Club lodge number is 2731, but we had a final dinner for those kids, and they serve those kids food for the summer months, and they were finishing up. They did over 4,500 kids this summer. It's quite a few groups, I'm sure all over the county do that same kind of work. Tremendous outreach for that Elks Club in that area, and I know we all get that from some club, or whether it be Kiwanis or Rotary or whatever clubs we have. I think it's important to know we got so many good citizens out there doing work that's good for our community and for the folks and feeding these kids. It's pretty amazing. I went to their last lunch they had, and they'd been doing this for 3 years, and this year it was over 4,500, which was about 500 more than they did the year before. So great project and really good outreach in that area. So just want to bring that to your attention.
Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple things. I know our last meeting, I had spoken about the recycling in the parks and the county buildings, and hopefully we can move forward with that. So just a heads up to the board, I do have a meeting scheduled with Jennifer Sini and John Powers on Thursday. So then I'll come back and report to the board how that discussion went, and hopefully we'll be able to come up with some solutions to that and a way to get that done. I also wanted to bring up, I see Adam leaving now. So we had Tampa Bay Idol, and thanks, Commissioner Starkey, for all your work on it last year. We continued it again this year.
Oh, we're doing it again?
We already did it. It
Awesome.
was this past weekend.
Okay.
So it was this past
Gosh, I didn't
Saturday.
even hear about it.
Yes, it
Very
was this
cool.
past Saturday. Another great turnout, amazing turnout. I'm not sure how many tickets. You can't speak from the audience, but use your hands if you want to, if you don't want to walk up. 25. So 25 golden tickets were given out. And if you remember last year, one of the gentlemen from Wesley Chapel that actually went to Wiregrass Ranch made it all the way to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And he was on television, so pretty cool. And he came and stuck around for a while and gave some of his signature socks out to some of us, which was pretty neat. But it was a great turnout. We got a lot of media exposure, quite a bit, obviously, on ABC Action News, some local media too, when it comes to local papers and things like that. And websites were out there, so definitely paying for your buck when you think about it in an event like that. So we were excited, and tourism's booming. You know, I got to bring it up, Adam. You know, we went over some numbers this past week, last Wednesday. I'm sure we'll be giving an update soon to the board, but incredible things happening with tourism. Like I mentioned, the estimates earlier are off the charts, and a lot of that has to do with, you know, we have more attractions coming to the area, as we all know. And then we have hotels, so we have product for the people to stay in. So when you have the product for them to stay in, they're not staying in Hillsborough, Pinellas County like they were. Now they're able to stay in Pasco County. And I think we have about 5 more hotels online, by the end of the year. So as we continue to have product, those numbers will continue to increase, and it only benefits the entire county, not just the few hotels, restaurants, and retail establishments. In the end-all, be-all, it benefits every citizen in Pasco County as we increase our tourism. So with
Did
that.
we have the Dick's Sports Tournament, the lacrosse this year, or is that?
So that
is
was
still going?
last year, and we probably don't want to get into that as much right now, but no, that's not coming back.
Okay.
They did not meet some of their obligations, so it is what it is. But there's other things that are coming to town which will more than make up for that, especially when it comes to some of the things in hockey. There's a lot of other sports, even national flag football tournaments and things like that are looking to come to the area, and other lacrosse tournaments too. So that will be made up and more easily. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, so thank you.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Commissioner Starkey?
Well, I asked Ainsley to stay because I asked this question in my roads update with staff. We paved a bunch of roads with some of the oil spill money that were damaged after the hurricane. And we had said at the time that we would do that, it was chip seal, which doesn't last long. And when we did it, we said that these were all going to be board-imposed PVASs. And I was wondering if we've taken care of all those roads.
No, Commissioner, we have not. We're doing it over a time period, so we have 2 coming up in the next month. So we're slowly bringing them back to the board.
Okay, but you are working through that list?
Yes,
Because
Commissioner.
if I recall, you said that chip seal lasts 3 years, so we're past that, I think.
We're working on it, sir.
Okay, I'm just worried those are going to fall apart. So that was my only question for you.
All right, thank you.
I had one question for the county administrator about our calendar for next year. The board calendar, are we near?
We're working on getting you one
Okay,
in
well,
front of you for approval.
can I get at least January? I need to make some decisions, so I'd
Okay.
like to know some of it anyway.
Easy
So-
enough, we can do that.
Okay. And I want to talk to you about, where'd Mike go? Over there. The pedestrian overpass on State Road 54. I've had a lot of people in the biking community talk to me about the need, and I've brought it up at MPO and here, to have a safe way to get over 54 on the coast-to-coast trail. And I wondered, I personally think that the overpass at State Road 52 is less important than the one at 54. And I just can't seem to get any movement on this. There's a lot more traffic on 54 than 52, and just for safety reasons, I feel that this one should be moved up. But I wondered, in the penny, that one is being funded with the penny for Pasco, and I didn't know if when we did the penny, and we said some of the money's going to go to trails, if we specifically called out projects, or we just said it's going to trails. So I need that legal answer, because I don't think we can, I don't know what we can do legally to put one overpass project in front of another, but I really feel we need to get started on looking at this overpass for the coast-to-coast trail. And then, as you know, we're under construction with the coast-to-coast, which is going to be marketed by the state internationally. We no longer have a wayfinding signage program. I know tourism at one time had been working on one, but that, I believe, went by the wayside. So we need to have a plan. We need to have signage. I just came back from biking overseas, and I mean, you've got to have signage. So we have nothing. So something's got to get going in that regard, and I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, as far as that goes, as far as looking at the 52, I mean, I'll say this, you've got several different communities right on 52 as well that use that thing quite a bit. It might make it safer for them as well. So before we jump to anything, I want to take a close look at it. I want to thank Dan Biles and Kevin Guthrie and Mike Carabella. Working together, they have prevented so many different phone calls that I'm used to getting year after year from stormwater improvements. Just recently, I want to say, you know, bringing down Kevin's team out to Bougainville and Oleander over in Jasmine Lakes, where a ditch hadn't been cleaned out for about 14 years. They went out there, did a phenomenal job. Scenic Drive, which is an item we got coming up to do some work to improve the bridge situation out there. They went and cleaned that thing out as well, and I think the water's flowing there. I don't know if we got everything done there, but those two things, I think, helped dramatically without getting a single phone call about flooding. And walking those neighborhoods, when you see sandbags that just sit there and deteriorate, it's a beautiful thing. So, you know, I just want to reach out to thank you guys for getting stuff done all the way through. And the teamwork on the Hudson Beach area, I mean, this board has done a tremendous job, I think, promoting our waterfront, moving forward. That drainage system, I got to tell you, just from a layman's perspective, the way it's laid out, the way it's set up, seeing the gut work that's in place is going to be a phenomenal addition and a long-lasting project that will go, I think, a long way. And I think we should take a real close look at, as I said before, Green Key coming forward to do that, because with all the Gulf Harbors, Sea Forest, and all those people that want to go out to that beach, I think we've got some great improvements we can do there as well. As far as SunWest goes, the people there at Running for CARES running the beach charity event again. It's going to be the first weekend, end of November. Steve Sherdell with Hits 106 did a phenomenal job helping him raise money, which defers what we need to do for him, but it's going to be a great event. They're going to invite you all to it as well. But they're very excited with the county taking over as far as the ease of trying to make things work out there well. And on the Restore Act Committee, we did have a meeting. Commissioner Starkey was there as well. I want to tell you, it was a lot of input was done from every different faction around. I mean, the people from Bailey's Bluff were there and put a good case forward why we should go take care of that area, which we did look at, didn't score quite as high, but they showed the value of what the county should be doing there. And I will tell you, I want staff to take a real close look before the recommendations come before the board, because I think, and I know we struggle with funding different things, but I think we should really take a look at how much funding the county should put into that separate from the restore to get that project up, because I will tell you, the shortfall is going to be coming in between Gulf Harbors, North and South Channel, as well as connecting to the Green Key area to the north over in Sea Forest. Hudson Channel is going to need more funding, and I will tell you that the Hudson Channel is going to be easy as far as a maintenance dredge, getting it permitted. Being that we have it done before, it's going to be part of an over dredge procedure. We could go 65-foot wide all the way out there. And I think it's something that, hearing for some folks today, the dredging is a very important, integral way to work. And if we did something along the line, like we did with transportation, as far as taking the tax increment program, which is what the mobility fees are working on, if we set the baseline number for right about now, up and down the coast, and whether it be along US 19 or out to Little Road, you can actually probably fund a lot of this by taking the increased property values that come up. That should take care of funding a lot of the dredging that's going to go up and down. It's going to take a big plan, a lot of engineering, and I think Curtis Franklin will talk about it when he comes to speak to us about the Restore Act Committee. But it's such a great opportunity, and instead of having to put taxes out there on people, this is just using what we know is investment coming up that will work to improve the quality of life, and again, I think really help the demographics and all overall quality of life up and down 19. And having said that, I'm very pleased that the Florida Association of Counties President Carson Turner has asked me to be on the leadership team for policy leader for growth, agriculture, and transportation environment. So I'm going to join that committee unless someone from the board doesn't think I should, but I think it's a good position to be on for us. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Dan? Do you have anything?
Yes, sir. I have a couple things. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I think you probably saw we had a Clear the Shelters event this weekend in collaboration with several other shelters in the area. Just to let you know, we had 111 pets adopted this weekend.
Excellent. Great.
Out of the shelter. So that said, we still have a lot of pets available for adoption. So
That's pretty incredible.
send more people out there. But yeah, that was incredible. I went out there Saturday afternoon about 3 o'clock, and it was packed. I mean, there were people everywhere looking at the different animals. So it was a good deal, good job from our animal services group on that. Second thing you'll notice, you probably got an email earlier this morning. We have a updated live project website for Ridge Road, the Ridge Road extension. So it has not only some of the facts and figures and some of the data, including the plans if you really want to get that much to the weeds, but also have some of the renderings for some of the things and the landscaping that will be along there and some of the trail connections as well. So it's a really good site. We wanted to get that out so that the public could kind of see what we're proposing to build along there. So those are the two things I had, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Jeff?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, in an abundance of caution, staff has been diligently working on the Shady Hills Energy Center's agency report, which is due at month's end. It is generally what staff would be doing administratively anyway, but I would like to get the administrator or his designee authority to sign the letter, which will file it with DEP and the Division of Administrative Hearings.
Need a motion?
Yeah, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Again, I think that would be something staff would normally do administratively if it was not going through the state process, but since it's got to be a filing on the county's behalf, I'd rather have the board make that authorization, and that's all I've got for today.
Okay.
Yes, I have something. I just wanted to bring to the board's attention a minor matter, but to be on record. At the July 10th meeting, this board approved to reimburse the tax collector their postage costs pursuant to Florida statute. The amount was $51,392.61. This is for the tax collector to send out the notices to the residents. Now, that amount did not change, but the associated expense accounts, there was about 12 of them, they have been changed to equal that total amount. And if you want to know what that amount is and what accounts are, there is a Board of County Commissioner agenda memo that's dated June 19th. And it is file number OMB 18-0129. Again, it's the same accounts, just different amounts, and the total amount that was approved by the board is still the same.
The amount.
And that's
Okay.
all.
Any questions? Okay, we'll go back to Commissioner Moore. I know you said you
I
had
apologize.
something. No, you're fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I forgot to send some pictures over.
Trying to look at that one.
Trying to figure out what that is. Are we mountain climbing, or what is that?
It looks like a mountain, right?
It
But that's
does,
actually
yes,
a
it
road.
does.
Watch out my back window.
So, there's a road in Wesley Chapel / Zephyr Hills, depending on, I guess, which system you're looking at. Some says Wesley Chapel, some says Zephyr Hills. It's called Arthur Drive, and it's right off New River Road. I've been out there and looked at this 3 times. Oh, there you go. Thank you. So I had fire rescue go out to see if it was navigable, and they stated they could, but that means they had to go around in people's yards to get around the potholes. So that's from my car window, and I'm approaching, if you keep going, I'm approaching where those trees are on the left, and I'm in a Suburban. Can you go to the next photo? If you don't mind. Thanks. Oh. Okay, that's actually a different area, but that's okay. It's bad. I would guesstimate that some of those holes are 2 to 3 feet deep. Okay, right there. So there, and then there's the trees coming down on the top left. There's a home to the right, and they were outside their house. I asked them, I said, can you get through that? They go, no, we come from the other way. So they can't drive to their house on the easiest access point. They have to go around a long way to get to their house. Literally, I bet you that's 3 foot deep there. It's so bad. The first time out.
Couldn't have stepped in it for us and got a picture.
Well, the first time out there, I actually drove through part of it, and I thought my Suburban was going to get stuck. So that's how deep it was. It was really bad. It drops down. The picture doesn't do it justice. So what I'm asking, if we could ask staff to go out there and see what the cost would be just to fill those potholes, I'd appreciate it, because there's some senior citizens out there too that they just can't navigate that road. And one gentleman I talked to, out of his own pocket, he actually filled some of these holes up just because, not for himself, because some of the seniors, they couldn't get out of their driveway. So he.
Private road, or?
We'd have to look into it.
We'll look and see.
We'll look into it,
And
but if we could at least fill those holes, I mean, one gentleman I spoke with, he said that the sheriff's office has had to come out there before. They had to stop, go back around, come around, go around the New River to get to where they were going, because they couldn't get by there. I mean, you literally cannot drive through that, especially on a rainy day. And if you have a normal vehicle, any type of sedan or a small SUV, you're not getting through that.
Are we wanting to do a board-imposed PVAS?
Well, they said, but I guess they would have to go through the trees, under the trees, in their yard, and get around. So it's not very safe for our rescue drivers either to have to deal with that.
We really have too many of those situations like that throughout our county.
Well, I understand, but this one I want to focus on right now. Just get this one done. If we can if we can fill those holes, that would be appreciated. If we get the cost, what it would cost.
Yeah, we'll go look at it.
Yeah,
If
it's
I
right
need to
off
bring
New River, too.
something back on the 4th, we'll bring something back on the 4th.
Yeah, you have nice,
If we can take
New
care-
River looks great. We've done a great job with New River as a county, the staff has, and then you pull off on the Arthur, and it's like, Fallujah.
Right. Well, like I said, I was going to say, if I need to bring something back on the 4th, we will.
You could,
If it's
yeah.
something we can go fix ourselves out of just normal maintenance, then we'll do that too.
Yeah, if it's
So
public road, you
we'll-
have the authority to do it.
Yeah,
and
right.
You don't
So-
need to bring it back, if you could just check it.
Right, we'll do that.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks so
Okay.
much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Have anything else? Okay. Just real quick, one thing I didn't update you all, and you know how excited I was about the scallop season and bringing it back to Pasco County since 1994. Yes, I was out there several days that week. Unbelievable to see everyone out there enjoying it. I know Commissioner Moore was out there one day. I hope you all had an opportunity to get out, but it was just to see 200-300 boats out in Pasco County enjoying the nature coast. We've talked over and over, we don't have beaches, we have a couple, but, it's really about this and getting folks out to see it, things that they've never experienced. And I mean, there has been so many positives. We haven't got a report back from FWC because they're busy on the red tide stuff. We will get some economic numbers here eventually. There's no doubt that it was a positive to the county. I know folks that came and rented a house for a week in Gulf Harbors. I know folks that came and stayed at hotels legally, yes. So it's a very exciting thing, and I think I spent a couple days with Adam and Brendan. We got national exposure, and I know he gave a little this report to the TDC. I thought it would be neat just to show us kind of what kind of exposure they got for us, especially talking about tourism, the folks earlier. It's alive and well in West Pasco, so it's exciting. Go ahead, Adam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What you'll see here is 3 posts that was provided by our agency that created a social media campaign for scalloping. The first one you'll see is to kick off the season that had over 350 shares and 59 comments. The second one is a partnership that we did with FWC in practicing boater safety regulations and best practices. And the third one on the final bottom right-hand side is the scalloping video we did in conjunction with Visit Florida. And so over the course of 10 days of this scallop season campaign was going out, our total reach was around 140,000 with the total impressions, as you can see, moving forward, and the total engagements, we reached close to 700, or we interact with close to 70,000 people wanting to know a little bit more about our destination. So it was a great campaign. We look forward to working with FWC and the Board of County Commissioners for next year's season, and also gathering more insight and reports back from what this season generated. So we're excited that it's here again, and I can't reiterate that enough.
And we appreciate everything you did. I know you were instrumental. Obviously, you know a lot about it being from Citrus County, but it was exciting to see all the boat rental places. Everybody was booked up for the entire week.
Right.
Okay.
It's very exciting. So.
How did our boat ramps hold up? How were they?
Yeah, they were.
From what I heard, there was no fights, no punches being thrown. The parking was adequate, everything was positive, and we're looking forward to next year.
Yeah. Okay.
We need more. That doesn't mean we still need more. We still need boat launches and access to the Gulf.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Moore.
So no, again, commend you, staff. I know Ralph went up to FWC with you too, and everything. Everybody that made this happen, and thanks for all your great efforts of promoting it too. I went out there. I was on vacation, so I got back just in time to hit the second to last day, and I've never seen that many boats in Pasco County in my life. I thought I was in Boca Grande during tarpon season. They were stacked up beyond belief. It was great. And it was all along too. So we started off in Hudson and out by the channel markers, and there was boats stacked up there. We went a little south. We were around Port Richey, New Port Richey.
I heard there were a lot behind my house.
We almost got to Anclote, but with 12 people and on the boat and like 8 of them being kids practically, it was time to turn back around after a long day. So, but everywhere we went, there were boats. They were just stacked up.
Boat call for 8 people.
It was awesome, and your interaction with folks posting on
It was a big positive.
Facebook, responding back. I mean, I heard nothing but positives from guides to folks that have been here for the first time doing it, to lifetime, 3, 4 generations talking about what it means to them, and that's what it's about to me. That's really what it was about, is getting these families together that haven't been able to do it, and obviously the economic driver is just a plus, but it is very exciting, and excited to do it. I'm not an eye guy, but this is a great thing for Pasco County, and again, we talk about tourism, a lot of people in. So.
Great job.
Yes, sir.
So, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I can take a moment to address Commissioner Starkey's comments about the trailhead and the master plans, and the reason why it was tabled. The reason why I was tabled is because we're going through a brand process right now, and we're actually spending dollars to actually create that identity, the creative element to it, the conceptual designs and everything. If we kept moving forward with the master wayfinding and trails plan, we would have to change our image and design work for the signage on the back end. So we would have been spending more money because we are going through our brand strategy right now. That's not, it's tabled now, so once we're finished with our brand strategy, we will be going back out for the execution of that master plan.
I'm just hoping that, at least for the coast to coast, because, we're going to have people here from all over the state for that grand opening, that we have something in place
Yes, ma'am.
by
It's
that
also
time.
for the Blue Ways and Greenways trail, so we're going to have it for our waterways as
Yeah.
well.
But, so I think you have about a year for that ribbon cutting. Is that right? Is any staff here that knows? Well, they're under construction right now, so it's about 1.5 miles. And then we're going to have a big party. It's the largest piece of the Coast to Coast Trail, so.
Yep. Okay, any questions why Adam's here?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I hate to do this to you, but Adam pointed this out a little bit. But if you look at that, look on your computer, the Visit Pasco one with the buoy. Look at that reach just for that one. 40, was it 40? Geez, I need my glasses. 46,591. That's strong.
Huge.
I mean, that's huge. And then you said total impression was over 100, but just that one post, you reach 46,591 people.
And please keep in mind, this is for a 10-day period. Imagine if we had
Exactly.
a month or 6-week-long season, how much visibility we can create and how much messaging we can get out there that's positive for our destination.
Commissioner Mariano?
Captain Wells, if I could say. It took a lot to get this done. I don't know if anyone realizes how hard it was to make this happen. I mean, we've had state legislators work on this for years before, couldn't get it off the dime. Your passion, your expertise really made this thing happen, and I commend you for it to drive it all the way through right to the end. And we can see what the benefit was, and hopefully next year we'll get an extension and go, but definitely a huge move, and congratulations on it.
Congratulations.
Great, no, thank you. I mean, it's.
What are the inhibitors to having us have a real season? Because I know this was a trial season.
Yeah, they need to do the counts, and I can tell you that, again, I went out 5 days of the 10, and we did just as good in Pasco as we did north, but you had to work for it a little bit different grass, taller grass.
We were stepping on them, and
Yeah, but they were
swimming away.
very large, but it really, the scallop dies, the average lifespan's a year, but it has to do with, are
Really?
they spawning, why we're harvesting them? Do we maybe wait till later in the season so it doesn't impact? Because the last thing we want to do is negatively impact it. But I have faith that FWC is going to do their job, and I think the numbers are going to be where they need to be because we did just as good on day 1 as we did on day 10. So it's exciting. So, but FWC, as soon as they've got their hands full with the red tide. So we understand that. So and hopefully it doesn't come this way. So,
No.
but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything else? Okay, with that, we'll adjourn for lunch break. The meeting will resume at 1:30. Thank you.